Chapter 84, Advantages. Benrian nodded once at Selfish, then turned his attention to the other man assigned to him, Emristel, a null essence specialist of high rank, drawn from the Shaper forces stationed in Eastern Europe. For the past several hours, Emristel had been angling, quietly and professionally, to earn Benrian's favor and secure a longer assignment in command once this expedition concluded. Emmer returned the nod and closed his eyes, drawing his essence inward. The space around him went dull and empty as his null field collapsed tight against his body. Set, Venrian said. Then shift in 5, 4, 3. Selfish tightened her grip around her focus item, a crystal of shifting light, no larger than a phone, and pulled on the power locked inside of it. The transition completed cleanly, and the Shaper base around them vanished. They emerged into Well 7. Selfish blinked, then her mouth fell open. Expansive corridors stretched in every direction, lined floor to ceiling with crystalline monoliths the size of small homes. They rose along the walls, arched across the ceiling, vanished into the distance in radiant symmetry. The crystal in her hand hadn't dimmed in the slightest, and here its immense power was meaningless. Miles of stored essence surrounded them, enough to fuel a modern civilization for decades, perhaps more. The sudden pressure of the null field wrapped around her, grounding her back in the moment. Selfish shivered, and reality snapped back into focus. They were 3 sections away from the anomaly. 170 meters of crystal storage had gone dark. She tried not to imagine what kind of force could drink that deeply. Before she could consider more completely, Benrian made a sharp hand gesture, and the 3 moved together. The light jog carried them down an intersecting corridor. Benrian glanced once at the faint timer embedded in his wrist. Syncing their arrival with 7 other teams already in motion, he increased his pace without checking behind him. Selfish and Emra still kept up. They reached the second intersection and pressed themselves against the towering crystal walls. Benrian leaned out briefly, then ducked back and pulled polarizing lenses over his eyes before peering out again. He turned and made a series of silent gestures. Both Selfish and Emmerstill nodded at once. Benrian moved first. He stepped into the corridor, leading towards the dimmed section of the well. Emmerstill followed immediately, essence withdrawn and ready. Several seconds later, Selfish sprinted across the exposed span and fell in along the opposite wall of crystals. They moved fast and quiet. Another Shaper team intersected their path. Silently, 7 Shapers moved together down the hall to the location of the anomaly. Finding nothing, Venrian turned to the other commander. Report. No evidence of hostile presence, the lead soldier replied crisply. Capacity is reading 40%. 3 to 4 points lower than our arrival sector. No anomalies detected, no opposition. Venrian grunted. We clocked closer to 50. Fluctuations expected. Emmerstill placed a hand against a small crystal, roughly the size of a large chair, and pushed his null essence outward. Normally, his power would shield him like a barrier between the essence and himself. Instead, the crystal drank it in. Emmerstill froze. He looked at Venrian. Venrian smirked, but only slightly. Selfish, Venrian said. What can you see? Selfish was already scanning, turning slowly, eyes unfocused as she reached beyond the immediate space. A dimensional Tor arrived beside them, shook his head, and dismissed the concern with practiced confidence. Nothing remains, the Tor said. These crystals strip lingering essence in seconds, less sometimes. There's nothing to follow here. Selfish? Venrian repeated, sharper this time. Weak dimensional residue, she said, brow furrowed as she pivoted. Not even close to what you described, but it's there. She closed her eyes. There's a lot of dimensional essence just beyond this world. Thin, diffuse, not even as much as what I'm holding, but it's widespread. The Tor scoffed. There is nothing here or beyond. Quiet, Venrian snapped. He turned back to Selfish. Go on. It's faint, Selfish said slowly. Barely a scar. Not the signature you warned me about, but consistent, like something moved through without anchoring. Fenrian smiled. A late arriving commander leaned in close and whispered, "The World Breaker?" Fenrian didn't answer. He turned his glare on the man, who immediately backed away. Further down the corridor, another Tor approached. Fenrian moved to meet him and offered a quick, polite salute. "Anything?" The Tor inhaled deeply, as if smelling the air. "Dozens of wielders. Shaper tech, shaper markings. Are you certain this isn't an internal operation, sir?" "One the High Council doesn't know about?" Fenrir murmured. The Tor shrugged and drifted off, still testing the space around him. Teams continued to arrive. Fenrir assigned tasks with sharp efficiency. Air sampling, ground analysis, laser mapping of nearby crystals. No details were ignored or overlooked. He liked the reports less with every update he got. Evidence of Shaper equipment, confirmed tech residue, between 15 and 30 individuals. It looked more and more like a sanctioned team conducting experiments, an internal one, and Ryan hated where that conclusion led. Even worse, he hated how it would read to the Council. A rogue team discovering a well and running tests without clearance wasn't just likely, it was the only explanation left. He exhaled slowly, allowing frustration to flood through him. "Fenrian?" Selfish called out. He turned. "I think," she said carefully, eyes bright with focus, "I think I can follow them." Fenrian's smile was immediate and unrestrained, as he didn't have to return to the Council with nothing.